Hey, Caroline, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for coming by on our podcast. I've been trying to kidnap you and bring you over here.
I know.
So I wanted to share a little bit of our story and first welcome you to Milestone Mortgage officially in the podcast.
Yeah. Been like 5 months, so
5 months so
five
far.
amazing months.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I feel like you bring a lot of really positive energy to the office, and you helping us create a culture in the office again. I feel like post-COVID,
Yeah.
like a lot of people wanted to work from home, and I always enjoy going to the office and having our team and our people that help each other. And
Agree.
I think that's important to create that culture. And since you joined 5 months ago, we're kind of getting that mojo back, which is exciting.
Yeah. No, I love to do events. I mean, I came from the service industry for 15 years. So, entertaining and taking care of people is always something I've always been able to do. So that's one thing that I would love to bring to Milestone as well, is to just capturing those people and those avenues, because I find I came into the business after the pandemic. So kind of getting people out of their norm was, they just were a little unsure in the beginning. So now I feel like people are doing more events and getting out and talking and having conversations about, the business and kind of how the waves have come. Because I came into the business as the rates were rising when they were in the threes at the time, and they thought those were high. So it's definitely, what a change. I know. I'm like to look back now and just to think where we were in 2021 when I first got in the business to now. Definitely has been a change. But you know what? It's been a good challenge, because when getting into a business at that time and trying to make people understand what's going on and just being transparent about everything, I feel like they're a little bit more comfortable with it. And now that we are where we are, I mean, people are still purchasing, people are still financing houses because they don't necessarily have a choice. So, because of relocating and, their families are growing.
Right.
And
you
rent.
They have triplets, right? In your new house.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a demand for real estate no matter what the rates are. I agree with you. So tell me a little bit, why the mortgage business? Why did you think about joining the mortgage business?
I've kind of dabbled into real estate, and then I just wasn't sure if it was for me at the time. So I was like, you know what? Let me get into the mortgage. I started going through the schooling, and I've always loved numbers. I mean, I ran into my algebra teacher from the 7th grade when my niece graduated not even a year ago. And it was just kind of like a full circle moment. And I'm like, you are the reason, which, I mean, we deal with numbers all day long, but also being behind the scenes and coaching people and helping them through the process is always... It's always been a pleasure to do, just because I came from a family where we rented our whole lives. And so I never had the education of purchasing a home. So when I got into it, I poured everything into it, because I wanted to make sure that when people were purchasing, that they knew what they were getting to 100%, from start to finish, whether it's insurance or escrow account or their monthly mortgage, that the number one thing is, like, what's your budget? What are you comfortable with? Because some people, you don't want to get to the closing and then you're like, oh my God, my mortgage is $2,000, So just being able to educate them through every step of the process has been amazing for me and a blessing to educate everyone around us. So
that's awesome. I love that. And investing in real estate is one of the biggest challenges, but also the biggest rewards, right?
Correct.
Most millionaires in the United States are created by investing in real estate. So depreciation and not paying somebody else's mortgage, like, that's what rent is, right? What I relate to paying rent versus owning a mortgage is like going up the stairs versus going up the escalator.
Yeah.
And when you have a house and you're a homeowner, you're going up the escalator. And you're going to get to the top really fast, way faster than going up the regular stairs. And the more real estate you get, the faster the escalator is.
Right.
So the escalator is the equity that you build and the appreciation that is really the game changer. So anybody that buys a house and stays in it for 7 to 10 years, they're always giving us a call back saying, hey, Fabio and Caroline, now I have $50,000 equity, $100,000 equity, $200,000 in equity.
Yeah.
And now I want to buy a bigger house. And, it's forced savings, like that's what I call it too. Because instead of going out and traveling and spending the money,
right,
you're forced to pay that mortgage payment. And when things are good, you send a little bit more and you build that equity way faster. And for people that discipline, that's not that challenging, right?
Right.
You can like not go to Starbucks a few more times and make a little bit more payments, and probably make one more payment a year just by cutting your lattes a little bit.
Because it's an asset that appreciates, and that doesn't necessarily depreciate versus, other things that are out there like cars. The moment you drive off a lot, they immediately depreciate.
So one question that I love to ask people that work in retail side, because sometimes they always worked in retail or always worked on the broker side.
Yeah.
And I think the superpower comes from working in both and knowing the difference.
Yes.
So I was in wholesale my whole life, and then I worked in retail for 3 years. And when I joined the core training, I hang out with a bunch of people that were in the wholesale side. On the retail side. And then I came back to the broker side in 2019. So what is your biggest takeaways and your top 3, pros and cons in wholesale versus retail?
So getting into the business in retail was kind of like a crutch. I didn't realize that until I left. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop. So I guess the pro with them is that they pretty much do a lot of the stuff for you. So when I got into the business, I was used to having, 2 assistants and then, a very, I guess, portal that we had everything in there, whether it was a store to purchase stuff or whether it was their process. It was just everything was taken off of my hands once I started the transaction, like the application and got the initial documentation, which was fine. But I feel like when I got into the brokerage side, I jumped into a company where I had absolutely no support. But it was a blessing in disguise because I learned so much. I went from having so much support to having absolutely no support. But I actually really appreciated that transition, which led me to Milestone afterwards. When I became more successful within my business, I needed that support again. So, of course, I had a conversation with you, and then I decided to get back on the brokerage side. But as far as like the products and the different lenders you can work with and the different processes each different lender has, was amazing to me. The opportunities versus the retail, it's just going, you're a one-stop shop. You don't necessarily have all those amenities of offering so many different products to so many different clients, because we are in a time right now where not a buyer is not cookie cutter like they used to be. There may be late payments, or they are business owners now that are trying to purchase homes, and there's different loan programs for them. But that leads to just everyone thinking that they have to put 20% down on homes, and that's a thing of the past. We have 1% down for conventional loans, and then, the minimum down for government loans is 3.5% for an FHA loan versus USDA, which there's still an abundance of areas here in Acadiana that still qualify for those types of loans because we are not necessarily as built up as other cities like New Orleans or Baton Rouge, or even, outside of the state. So we have that luxury of having those different types of products to offer to people, especially on the brokerage side, for sure.
No, I agree with you. I think big advantage of the broker side versus the retail side is having more options, right? So having more options means you saying less no to your clients, because you got to find a way to finance them. Some retail setups, and you have less options. If you walk into one bank, you just have that set of programs. And sometimes the bank may want to only deal with people with perfect credit, or only people with put a big down payment. On the broker side, walking into Milestone Mortgage is like walking into 100 different lenders. If there's a way, we'll find it. Not everybody's a square or a circle or a triangle. Sometimes you may get an octagon. And you may not be able to put on a regular boxes like a bank does.
I agree with that. When someone tells me no, I fight even harder.
It's like, are you sure it's no?
Especially with the company I was with before, I was told no, that I wasn't going to get it done, and it made me work even harder. And I remember that particular situation because she was a single mom. She was a nurse, and she had 2 kids. And I remember going through nursing school 12 years ago and me not deciding to stay in that path. So I almost saw myself in her, in a sense, when someone told her no, and I turned around and I was able to get her in the house with not bringing anything to the table. So it comes full circle. And when you put yourself in their shoes, you just want to make sure that you take care of them as in how you want to be taken care of. So I love what I do, and
Yeah,
I get
that's
up and I
awesome.
choose it every single day.
The most rewarding part of our job is being able to say yes when other people said no. I had a similar situation. So agent called me, agent that's a friend of mine for a long time, gave me a call, said, Fal, we got no's from 3 different mortgage companies. And I know that if there's a way, you're going to find it. And I was like, of course I get those calls. You know, sometimes sometimes the blessing, sometimes the curse, you know. But, you know, us, we'll take on the challenge. And, you know, it wasn't easy. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but it was worth it because she was just recently separated, single mom, working hard with young children. And we had to kind of get creative a little bit and switch from RD to FHA, but we were able to find a way and get her closed. And we actually just delivered the gifts. It was a stressful situation, so but she was a champ throughout the process, and she was so thankful and grateful. So those transactions is what, you know, makes it worth it, and that's the biggest takeaway and the most exciting part of our business. And whenever we say yes, and they trusted us and they follow our guideline, our guidance, and our experience, and then it happened, and now they have the keys and they're a homeowner. So that's the most rewarding part of it. So for me, that's the most rewarding part of our being a loan officer and being in a mortgage business is when we get to say yes and they get the keys, and then now they're homeowners.
I actually just closed a file last week, and it was, they originally were working with someone on retail, and they were told that they had to put $80,000 down to make the deal happen. And they came to me, and it was a fraction of what was told to them, and it was a little alarming because some of these people may get filtered out of purchasing a home when they think that they have to put so much down, when in reality it could just be who you're working with, you know. And I've spoken to many people after I've gotten onto the brokerage side in regards to retail, and as to why I was not as competitive as I could have been. I lost over $5 million in deals my first year. So it was very, you know, disheartening, you know, so I don't necessarily have the best taste in my mouth as far as retail. But it could have been just the comp plan that, you know, the branch manager was on, or their compensation was on, which is what I've been educated on, which was probably what happened. But I'm extremely happy where I am on the brokerage side with you guys at the moment. So I'm definitely excited to be a part of the team and bring, you know, Milestone back to the forefront of the mortgage business in Acadiana, because I feel like, you know, when you do events and you don't necessarily see some brokerages out there, and then you get with someone and you're like, this is it, you know, you want to do everything, you want to do all the events, you want to stay in front of everyone, just because you're easily replaced, unfortunately.
No, that's true. And I always say, not all borrowers are created equal, but not all lenders are created equal also. So shopping around is something that I definitely tell my clients to do, because when they go shop around, they really appreciate what we do for them. So the more they shop around, the better it is for us, because they get to see the difference. And when they get to see the difference, they're thankful and grateful for what we do and the options that we have and the hard work that we have. So I think we have something great in Milestone, a combination of all those options and experience, being involved in the community, being out there with the events. And I graduated in marketing. If you know me, you know I like to do some events and have some fun. And you feel the same way. So I'm excited about that, for creating that culture again and getting out there and doing the events. And this year is going to be a great year. Even though with high rates, the market is coming back a little bit. But I feel like we're on the end of that high rate period, hopefully sooner than later. All predictions are off, and it's supposed to be May 10th. Then the rates are going to come down. I don't think it's going to happen in May 10th yet, but definitely by the end of the year and next year. So I think it's a great time to get in the mortgage business, or to step up your production in the mortgage business, because we're building our next refi boom, right? All the people that are at 8s, 8.5, 7.5 are going to be refinancing into the 5s, into the 4s, maybe into the 3s. We'll see. I don't know if we're going to ever see rates that low before, but I would definitely see rates in the 4s in the next 2 years.
I'm excited about that
it's
for
exciting.
sure. Because the market, I mean, the interest rates are going to change, but that's also going to change the market and the prices of the home. So if someone can, stomach or swing the note for, 6 months to a year, even less than that, who knows, then they're probably going to get the house at a better price than what they would if they were to wait 6 months from now to purchase, because then it's going to become a bidding war. I mean, we still see bidding wars now, but it's a lot of lower priced homes. So I think with people searching right now, it's the best time for sure not to wait.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yeah, so if you're in a business shopping for a mortgage or for a house, give Caroline a call. I'm excited for you to be in Milestone Mortgage with us. I see you're the rising star in the mortgage business, in my opinion. Here in Lafayette, I can see that I feel the energy and the positivity and your hard work and effort and your brains, and you want to be involved. You want to know the process. You want to, I mean, you're doing a closing package a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Right here on the phone. I can tell, and I work with a lot of really successful people in the business in the last 23 years. I can see that you're one of the big ones, and I'm proud and honored to have you in Milestone Mortgage.
I'm honored to be here too.
Welcome to the family.
Thanks.